a WikiVidi documentaries production. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Enjoy. Year. A year is the orbital period of the Earth moving in its orbit around the Sun. Due to the Earth's axial tilt, the course of the year sees the passing of the seasons, marked by change in weather, the hours of daylight, and, consequently, vegetation and soil fertility. In temperate and subpolar regions around the planet, 4 seasons are generally recognized: spring, summer, autumn and winter. In tropical and subtropical regions, several geographical sectors do not present defined seasons. But in the seasonal tropics, the annual wet and dry seasons are recognized and tracked. The current year is a calendar year is an approximation of the number of days of the Earth's orbital period as counted in a given calendar. The Gregorian, or modern, calendar presents its calendar year to be either a common year of 365 days or a leap year of 366 days, as do the Julian calendars. See below. For the Gregorian calendar, the average length of the calendar year across the complete leap cycle of 400 years is 365.2425 days. The ISO standard ISO 80003, Annex C, supports the symbol A to represent a year of either 365 or 366 days. In English, the abbreviations Y and year are commonly used. In astronomy, the Julian year is a unit of time. It is defined as 365.25 days of exactly 86,400 seconds, totaling exactly 31,557,600 seconds in the Julian astronomical year. The word year is also used for periods loosely associated with, but not identical to, the calendar or astronomical year, such as the seasonal year, the fiscal year, the academic year, etc. Similarly, year can mean the orbital period of any planet. For example, a Martian year or a Venusian year are examples of the time a planet takes to transit one complete orbit. The term can also be used in reference to any long period or cycle, such as the Great Year. Etymology. English year, Anglian Jahr continues Proto-Germanic Jahren. Cognates are German Oi, Old High German Jahr, Old Norse Ar and Gothic Jar, from the Proto-Indo-European noun, year, season. Cognates also descended from the same Proto-Indo-European noun Aravestan Oi, year, Greek, year, season, period of time, Old Church Slavonic Jaru, and Latin hornus, of this year. Latin annus is from a Pi noun, which also yielded Gothic athn, year. Although most languages treat the word as thematic ye1ro, there is evidence for an original derivation, with an rn suffix, ye1ro. Both Indo-European words for year, ye1ro and h2etno, would then be derived from verbal roots meaning, to go, move, h1a and h2et, respectively. A number of English words are derived from Latin annus, such as annual, annuity, anniversary, etc. Per annum means, each year. Anno Domini means, in the year of the Lord. The Greek word for year is cognate with Latin vetus, old, from the byword waitos, year, also preserved in this meaning in Sanskrit, year, and yearling, the latter also reflected in Latin vigilus, bull calf, English weather, ram. In some languages, it is common to count years by referencing to one season, as in summers, or winters, or harvests. Examples include Chinese, year, originally, an ideographic compound of a person carrying a bundle of wheat denoting harvest. Slavic besides godu, time period. Year, uses leto, summer. Year. In the International System of Quantities, the year is defined as either 365 days or 366 days. Intercalation. No astronomical year has an integer number of days or lunar months. So any calendar that follows an astronomical year must have a system of intercalation such as leap years. Julian calendar. In the Julian calendar, the average length of a year is 365.25 days. In a non-leap year, there are 365 days. In a leap year there are 366 days. A leap year occurs every 4th year, or leap year, during which a leap day is intercalated into the month of February. The name, leap day, is applied to the added day. The revised Julian calendar, proposed in 1923 and used in some Eastern Orthodox churches, has 218 leap years every 900 years, for the average year length of days, close to the length of the mean tropical year, days. In the year 2800 CE, the Gregorian and revised Julian calendars will begin to differ by 1 calendar day. Gregorian calendar. The Gregorian calendar attempts to cause the northward equinox to fall on or shortly before March 21st, and hence it follows the northward equinox year, or tropical year. Because 97 out of 400 years are leap years, the mean length of the Gregorian calendar year is days, with a relative error below 1 ppm relative to the current length of the mean tropical year and even closer to the current March equinox year of days that it aims to match. It is estimated that by the year 4000 CE, the northward equinox will fall back by 1 day in the Gregorian calendar, not because of this difference, but due to the slowing of the Earth's rotation and the associated lengthening of the day. Other calendars. Historically, lunisolar calendars intercalated entire leap months on an observational basis. Lunisolar calendars have mostly fallen out of use except for liturgical reasons. A modern adaptation of the historical Halali calendar, known as the solar Hijri calendar, is a purely solar calendar with an irregular pattern of leap days based on observation, aiming to place New Year on the day of vernal equinox, as opposed to using an algorithmic system of leap years. Year numbering. A calendar era assigns a cardinal number to each sequential year, using a reference point in the past as the beginning of the era. The worldwide standard is the Anno Domini era. It was historically introduced in the 6th century and intended as counting years from the birth of Jesus. The Anno Domini era is given the Latin abbreviation AD, or alternatively CE for Common Era. Years before AD 1 are abbreviated BC for before Christ or alternatively BCE for before the Common Era. Year numbers are based on inclusive counting, so that there is no year zero. In the modern alternative reckoning of astronomical year numbering, positive numbers indicate years AD. The number 0 designates 1 BC, -1 designates 2 BC, and so on. Fiscal year. A fiscal year or financial year is a 12-month period used for calculating annual financial statements in businesses and other organizations. In many jurisdictions, regulations regarding accounting require such reports once per 12 months, but do not require that the 12 months constitute a calendar year. For example, in Canada and India the fiscal year runs from April 1st. In the United Kingdom it runs from April 1st for purposes of corporation tax and government financial statements, but from April 6th for purposes of personal taxation and payment of state benefits. In Australia it runs from July 1st, while in the United States the fiscal year of the federal government runs from October 1st. Academic year. An academic year is the annual period during which a student attends an educational institution. The academic year may be divided into academic terms, such as semesters or quarters. The school year in many countries starts in August or September, and ends in May, June or July. In Israel the academic year begins around October or November, aligned with the second month of the Hebrew calendar. Some schools in the UK and USA divide the academic year into 3 roughly equal-length terms, roughly coinciding with autumn, winter, and spring. At some, a shortened summer session, sometimes considered part of the regular academic year, is attended by students on a voluntary or elective basis. Other schools break the year into 2 main semesters, a first and a second semester. Each of these main semesters may be split in half by midterm exams, and each of the halves is referred to as a quarter. There may also be a voluntary summer session and/or a short January session. Some other schools, including some in the United States, have 4 marking periods. Some schools in the United States, notably Boston Latin School, may divide the year into 5 or more marking periods. Some state in defense of this that there is perhaps a positive correlation between report frequency and academic achievement. There are typically 180 days of teaching each year in schools in the USA, excluding weekends and breaks, while there are 190 days for pupils in state schools in Canada, New Zealand and the United Kingdom, and 200 for pupils in Australia. In India the academic year normally starts from June 1st and ends on May 31st, though schools start closing from mid-March. The actual academic closure is on May 31st, and in Nepal it starts from July 15th. Schools and universities in Australia typically have academic years that roughly align with a calendar year, as the Southern Hemisphere experiences summer from December to February. Julian year. The Julian year, as used in astronomy and other sciences, is a time unit defined as exactly 365.25 days. This is the normal meaning of the unit year, used in various scientific contexts. The Julian century of days and the Julian millennium of days are used in astronomical calculations. Fundamentally, expressing a time interval in Julian years is a way to precisely specify how many days, for long time intervals, where stating the number of days would be unwieldy and unintuitive. By convention, the Julian year is used in the computation of the distance covered by a light year. In the Unified Code for Units of Measure, the symbol A always refers to the Julian year, AJ, of exactly seconds, 365.25 days of seconds. 1A 1AJ as the SI multiplier prefixes may be applied to it to form ka, ma, etc. Draconic year. The Draconic year, Draconitic year, eclipse year, or ecliptic year is the time taken for the Sun to complete one revolution with respect to the same lunar node. The year is associated with eclipses. These occur only when both the Sun and the Moon are near these nodes, so eclipses occur within about a month of every half-eclipse year. Hence there are 2 eclipse seasons every eclipse year. The average duration of the eclipse year is days. This term is sometimes erroneously used for the draconic or nodal period of lunar precession. That is the period of a complete revolution of the Moon's ascending node around the ecliptic, Julian years. Full moon cycle. The full moon cycle is the time for the Sun to complete one revolution with respect to the perigee of the Moon's orbit. This period is associated with the apparent size of the full moon, and also with the varying duration of the synodic month. The duration of one full moon cycle is days. Lunar year. The lunar year comprises 12 full cycles of the phases of the Moon, as seen from Earth. It has a duration of approximately 354.37 days. Muslims use this for celebrating their Eids and for marking the start of the fasting month of Ramadan. A Muslim calendar year is based on the lunar cycle. Brought to you by WikiVidi documentaries. Would you like to know more?